Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent just threatened to kick anyone who won't play by America's rules out of the dollar system, while potentially tapping a $1 trillion war chest to buy back U.S. debt. Meanwhile, Bitcoin nearly hit 80K today. Matt Cratter says Bitcoin is dead man walking. And Strategy just raised another $2 billion without buying any corn. Tariffs, sanctions, weaponized money, all rampant right now. So is this unintentional chaos or controlled demolition? I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is Bitcast.
The issue is not red or blue. The issue is between the state and you.
It can be a little bit of a warning sign.
It gives you a tool to empower.
That sounds like a utopia, my friend.
It is. It's exactly a utopia.
With Bitcoin, no one can take it from you.
Gentlemen, happy Monday. Welcome. Also tip of the hat to Nathan. It is his anniversary today. Him and I've coined her now Mrs. Mentor. I've got Mrs. Sessions, Mrs. Mentor. We're
it's better than Mrs. Obsessed with Claude and always on AI, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Interesting week. We're sitting north of 79K right now. We're up 22.5%. We did just barely, from what I saw over on Bitbo, I think we just barely tapped, not quite 80K. It was like 79.99. It was up there. But lots going on in that realm. ETFs bought more last week than the previous 16 weeks, around 2 billion. Of course, that doesn't account for all of the price movement. We have seen call options volume on the largest Bitcoin ETF, which is IBIT. They surged to 1.58 million contracts on Wednesday. That was the largest daily volume on record. This came about as Bessent there was rumors that Bessent could tap the $1 trillion Treasury war chest for bond buybacks. Remember that previously they had basically said double the bond buybacks from 2 billion to 4 billion as a baseline. I think that was like at least was the wording. And then again, they're considering that it's to be specific, a $950 billion general account. Now, the other thing that I wanted to chat about in regards to Bessent was this D-Day sanctions. And so I'm just going to there's a few things. I watched the address. There are a few things that kind of stuck out to me. So this is obviously aimed at Iran, and they want to, cut them off and isolate them. A few minutes in, I think it was like between 5 and 10 minutes in, he specifically referred to digital assets as one of the things that are using to sustain Iran's economy. He also talked about technology, gold, aviation, shipping, all this. Didn't explicitly mention Bitcoin, but it's kind of obvious given that they wanted to accept or are accepting Bitcoin for the Strait. His quotes here, he said, "We're launching an economic onslaught against Iran's financial connections around the globe. Our objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains this tyrannical regime until Tehran stands alone." He also kind of basically seemingly talking about China. Obviously China is Iran's largest oil customer, but Chinese banks haven't yet been targeted. He acknowledged kind of that aggressive sanctions could destabilize the financial system, but he also said no one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions. There's some Canada stuff we're going to talk about in the next section after. But in terms of the bond buybacks, he went on to say, we haven't bought a single bond yet, but we will see on September 9th. And the key thing at the end, which is kind of this threat of follow along and step in line or you're off the dollar system. He said, if people do not want to meet our expectations, they should expect they will leave the dollar system. So again, this is some of the stuff that we saw with Russia, the weaponization of the dollar, the freezing of their reserves and everything. And so what we've seen prior to this, like it's kind of the Simon Dixon multipolar world, controlled demolition style thing. Do we think this is controlled demolition, or do we think this is, something else? I'm going to go to Brandon first here. I'm sure you've got some thoughts as the token American in the room. So Brandon, what do you think about Bessent and what was said today?
Yeah, I just don't. Joe, you take first. No, I think that there's obviously a ton going on here. We've been talking about this for months. Everyone pretty much knows where I stand right now. I changed my mind from where I was 6-7 months ago, and when facts change, I'll change. I'm not even remotely close to there yet. I think just zooming out though, again, this is no matter who's in power. I think Trump's a different dynamic because, again, if you watch Vance on Joe Rogan talking about a Christian economy, like all kinds of stuff we've frankly never heard, at least for decades, if not a century or more. If you're doing your own research, you can kind of put the pieces together, and this is why we talk about the American system a lot here, because that's all they talk about. But at the same time, it doesn't matter who's in power. Like we go back to the Japanese yen and like things that are going, it's an inflationary system. You can't have deflation. The bond buybacks, the Fed coming in. I know Mike Maloney 15, 17 years ago, it was like, he was like, yeah, we're going to have you getting rebated all your taxes you've ever paid in your life. Like these things are coming. Like we don't know when they're going to come, but these things are going to come. And this is why we Bitcoin at the end of the day, because these things are very obvious. But we don't always know how they're going to like score it out. Like, oh, there's going to be a war with Iran because we're going to be in this economic skirmish, which I don't know how many days there are, but it's like something obscenely low, like the number of days of actual bombing, I guess. I don't know if it's like 15, 20, or 25 days of like 6 months. So people think like we've just been bombing people endlessly because we're in bed with Israel or something like that. That's actually nowhere near the case. If you were actually in bed with Israel, you would be nuking them. The first weekend, you would have dropped 10 nukes, destroyed the entire country and said, ha, okay, pay us now, BB. Like we did your dirty work. So it's all been economic generally, most of it. And this was the plan the entire time. This is why we tried to outline this over and over again. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. They don't want to do the research. They want to go by what the legacy media tells them and what their favorite YouTube talking head tells them. And that's fine. It is what it is. I mean, it's just the wheels of justice are, slow. So they're going to, people will learn over time. But at the same time, what we said as well, you have to land on the carrier as well. I also think, we talked about this the other day, I think there's a 2-year and a 4-year strategy. I don't know where we're at in that. I don't know if we've kind of rolled over into this 4-year strategy of everyone thought they were going to grease the skids. Many of us, I mean, I've talked about it like, hey, we're going to do stuff in grease the skids for the midterms. It looks like maybe it was just like, hey, okay, I think we
No.
There he is. He's back.
You're back. You cut for just a second there. You're good. Okay. Keep going. Keep rolling.
And so, like, hey, this Iran thing is going to take a few more months than we thought. Like, I don't want to see boots in the ground. I don't want to see any of that stuff. I don't know if they're going to go that direction. I hope not. But that's why it's been economic warfare. I think that they haven't done the things. They haven't done massive bombing, nukes, all this crazy stuff, or putting boots in the ground, because it has been economic. It has been the Lloyds of London stuff, the Straits, all these different things that take out choke points, the Venezuela stuff. And so just trying to call balls and strikes of what they are. And to me, the more important thing is, as we said as well, is understanding the economic and political system that's being unearthed and exposed versus the British Imperial East India Company system that's been run, the Malthusian net zero death cult for 400 years. That's going away. The globalist, net zero. Again, right before we started Bitcast, you guys will all remember the Team America, those guys going to Davos and being like, hey, F all of you. We're not doing this globalist BS anymore. Sorry, guys, storming in there with flamethrowers. That's what they've been doing. They've been doing that. Now, if Trump's a part of that and he's being paid off to like play this game and play the controlled opposition, I stand that to be open to that as well. I mean, to me, what's more important, again, this is why I think removing Trump from this whole thing is the system has been unearthed for someone like me who has heard about a lot of these things, but I never put all of it together until 6 months ago, or just the last 6 months, and really saying, oh my gosh, and having all the things connect now. That to me is what's more important, because you got to remove Donald Trump from this. He's 80. It's not going to be here any much longer. So the systems now are being contrasted, and people can see there are differences now in the world. There is a third option. There's capitalism, free trade, Adam Smith, and there is communism. But then there's this third option, and it's you having your own sovereignty, your nation having a sovereignty, having borders, having individual sovereignty. And there's a third system that has been completely hoodwinked, or just the wool pulled over our eyes for the last 125, 150 years. That's now back in the realm. So there's actually a third option, which I think is more important, way outside of Donald Trump, that's being exposed here. And but in the grand scheme of things, this is inevitable, no matter who's also in power, whether it was Biden, choking off the Russians, or whether it's Trump or Bessent or whoever it is. The next guy's going to have to come in, and guess what? We're going to 100 trillion in debt. It doesn't matter. And that's why I think as a Bitcoiner, you kind of sit here and you're like, you're like, we got to talk macro, you got to talk all these things at times. And as you kind of laugh, because like, it's all going to zero against Bitcoin. Like the macro is going to zero against Bitcoin. So we're in it. The wheels of justice turn slow. So we have to talk about these things on a day-to-day basis and educate and learn ourselves. I'm constantly trying to educate myself on this system and what's being said, going back into the archives, watching their talks, watching source material, not third hand, fifth hand, 10th hand from Twitter of what someone said about who someone said about someone said what Bessent said. And so, hey, what are they actually saying? That to me is going to be the big play going forward of, can we outdo the takers and the communists and the redistributors, and can we outbuild the vibes? We've talked about this again many times, the nuclear reshore things, build things here, build citadels, build a different world, and show people, not talk hot air like Donald Trump will laser point people and talk and get people confused and get their brains on fire purposely. But can we actually build and do these things out faster than AOC or what's his name in California, Newsom, can take them from you? That is, or Carney up where the you boys are. Who's going to win that race? That's everything to me.
Brandon, can you imagine an AOC presidency?
But imagine
me-
the thirst traps.
Oh,
She's
God.
been thirst posting lately. She's off the birth control, dumped her fiance, yoga
That's
pants.
the big burly man now, they say.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on. We've seen this many such cases. many such
Joey, I want to
cases.
get your thoughts here, but also I'm gonna tag in a couple just little tidbits as well
Tag 'em in.
around the Iran stuff. So here's Bessent talking about Iran's currency devaluation. So at one point it was, I think I was looking at the numbers earlier, but it was it was like 800 and something thousand per US dollar in 2025, and it's now closing on 2 million per US dollar. So yeah, he's basically saying over the weekend, Iran's central bank governor said that the simultaneous drop in Iran's oil revenues, tax income, and social security contributions have affected every part of Iran's economy. And he's basically saying like, hey, currency devaluation, here we come. Now they're talking about all these sanctions and everything. China publicly announced they will not recognize any U.S. sanctions on Iran. And it looks like other countries are following suit. And then who knows, this is coming from Iran, but Iran says all of its trading partners have privately told them they will ignore Trump and Bessent's Operation Economic Outcast. So I'm sprinkling that in. What do you think of this, the general situation, weaponizing the financial system? And this, it seems to be a recurring theme that has been happening just these past few years, even more so than before.
Do you think that the U.S. imperial monolith prefers to use monetary sort of punishment on its enemies above military action?
I don't think military action has the same
I don't think it's
efficacy
working.
it used to.
I don't think it's working. Yeah. And so I think there's two things going on here. One is that this is a bit of an admission of defeat from the aircraft carrier enjoyers to the south of us. Number one. Number two, I think they're going to make an example out of Iran here, big time, because it's kind of low risk. There's not really a country in the Middle East that wants Iran to maintain any semblance of power. They are destabilizing. It's a Islamic totalitarian extremist, whatever, pick your word, regime. detrimental to American goals in the region, arguably detrimental to peace, depending on how you feel about the U.S. treating democracy like peanut butter, which is to say spreading it on a little too thick and having it run over the sides of the toast basically every time they use it. If you feel good about that, then yeah, this is a good move. And I think they're going to go all the way with this. Scott Bessent has proven to be, if not the most competent guy in the White House, certainly the most intimidating and adversarial when it comes to America's rivals around the world. This guy worked for Soros, has been around markets and economics his entire life, giving a nod, obviously, to Operation Twist with this Treasury Twist thing he was talking about earlier today and yesterday. And I got to tell you, I really think that the U.S. is entering a new, I'll add Walker to the stream, entering a new paradigm, let's say. They're in a new era of American global, at least attempted global dominance. They're going to do it with the dollar. We've seen already a couple of different things that tell you that creativity now is something that's very much on the table as far as sanctions, as far as preserving currency power. I don't want to say currency status, but currency power. And obviously, we talked a little bit about what they're willing to do on both the short end and the long end of rates. You didn't mention it, but for the first time ever, the government saying that they're interested in at least considering using the TGA to buy back long-dated bonds. I mean, I know the operation is, well, it was $2 billion, now it's $4 billion. 2 weeks ago, it was a different debt management strategy that obviously didn't work. It long end round trip back to 4.7 or 5, whatever it was. And now they're talking about this $1 trillion war chest they have that does everything from pay the public service over there to, I guess, buy back bonds. Now they're not fucking around. And when I see, we have a kind of a good look at this from where we are in Canada, Ben, obviously, because we'll get into this later, but just to maybe tease it a bit, our prime minister is also a world-renowned banker, for what that's worth. Has been around, has been part of these discussions and in this game for a long time himself. Also has some private chops, equity in real estate and these other businesses that Brookfield's involved in. He's trying to sell the same image of power, but without the United States in it, and nobody buys it. Canadian dollar today down against every other currency. If you even look at Bitcoin, where most of the time we move in lockstep just based on the exchange rate between CAD and USD, today was not like that. It's almost 4% at one point today, the Bitcoin CAD price. So to say that you can do this without America, for us is incorrect, for Europe is incorrect, and I think for other countries that want to pretend they don't need access to the American market, I'm speaking specifically about China in this case, I don't believe it. You need the US on your side. You have to be marching under the same banner, whether or not you like the flavor of the meal, man, okay? You better tell them it tastes great and you better ask for seconds, because if you don't, these guys are going to come down on you. One last thing, and then I'll pass to Walker about this. The timing of this is interesting, right? You have Bitcoin ripping. You had Bessent today really kind of going, I would argue, off the beaten path for a guy in his role with the government speaking like this. He's talking about foreign policy. And I think we're finding out that the Iran war and the bond situation is foreign policy. They are aligned in that regard. They're the same issue. But later this week, you got Warsh's first Jackson Hole, I think on Thursday or Friday, right? He speaks. And, are you going to get a bit of a play fake to the hawkish side before he's able to cut, or is he going to go right to dovish? What's his plan for questions around this action here, which, by the way, is outside of his purview? The Treasury can do whatever they want with the TGA. They can work with the government. Lutnick and Bessent can work together. The trade agreements are all out of Kevin Warsh's line of sight, officially, anyways. And all that stuff is happening at the same time that Bitcoin's ripping. I think a lot of people, unlike in a decade past, let's say, people realize that even if they can't articulate, I've said this a million times, but it bears repeating, even if they can't articulate what they're seeing, right? All they know is there's tons of money floating around. There's tons of new ideas for how to control certain parts of the economy, certain parts of the bond market, certain parts of the equity market. And what does it mean? Since COVID, everyone knows it just means number go up on risk assets, on equities, and probably, if they don't do something about it, on long rates as well. So yeah, fun time to be a Bitcoiner. I love the price. I think we're going to keep moving higher here. I don't know, Walker, I don't want to throw it to you, Walker, because I don't know if you are in on the topic here, but
Joey, as an American, I'm always prepared for anything.
Hell yeah.
That's how we got to be where we are today. I'd also just like to say, Joey, you mentioned the price of Bitcoin, but I have it on good authority that the Bitcoin price has actually been unknown for 2 weeks now. Do you have any comment on that?
I don't know what's going on. I think it was a bit of a delay, right? I saw someone in the chat earlier talking about how Cratter's right, 100% right. Enjoy your core coin or whatever. Early boys. 600 people here. That's what we're talking about.
My personal quant and shaman, Luke Dash Jr., just recently tweeted, Bitcoin price is unknown for 2 weeks now. Exchanges are selling counterfeits. So actually, joke's on you guys. Bitcoin hasn't been going up at all. That's just
it's
captured
been frozen.
Hard coin. So I guess
I've got some stuff teed up for after the break for that.
I didn't mean to steal it, Ben. I'm sorry.
Wild. It's wild. No. There's other stuff too. Nonetheless,
nice
Walker, you got the. I know you kind of came in part way, but I imagine you caught on to a bunch of stuff we're talking about. Just kind of again the continued weaponization of the dollar and Bessent effectively saying like, get in line or expect to be ejected from the dollar system if you aren't going along with they want to use a whole bunch of sanctions and cut off every kind of lifeline for Iran. But then we also have China and then apparently other countries joining in saying they're going to ignore the sanctions. So it puts it in a precarious position of who gets sanctioned, and do they like does this become a much bigger deal than it currently is?
So it's interesting, like you have kind of these two different mechanisms, right? Like you have the nuclear option, which is like, we're fully cutting you off of the dollar system, right? And we saw that, like most notably, I think the big like ding-a-ling-a-ling alarm bell for people was at the start of the Ukraine war when the United States did that to Russia, right? And everyone kind of, assets frozen, cut off from the dollar system. And basically everybody kind of goes, oh, shit. Like that was very quick and easy for the United States to do, which should have been blatantly obvious, but apparently it's not to elected and unelected leaders around the world. And then you have sort of the less nuclear option, like just the, like the grenade at a wedding option, to borrow a phrase from the people who just recently forked off. Sorry, I'm done. That's the last comment on that tonight, you guys. I swear to God.
That is for sure not the last comment.
For sure the last one, guys. Okay, anyway, you have the other option, which is just tariffs as a tool of punishment, right? And honestly, tariffs are something that I go back and forth on because from my Austrian economics perspective, right? It's like, well, tariffs are market distortion, right? Like that's, my knee-jerk reaction is like tariffs bad because they create that market distortion. But then obviously like some of that has to necessarily, like your assumptions there have to necessarily be around tariffs happening sort of in a vacuum, right? But the reality is that if other countries are treating as Trump said, treating us very badly, they treat us so badly, like, okay, I can see the justification for tariffs to an extent. But then the other piece of this is like somebody has to pay the piper. Somebody gets saddled with the bill. It ends up just getting passed on to consumers at the end of the day. Now, I'm not saying they can't be a good negotiating tactic, which is, I think, honestly, primarily how they really have been used by Trump, is more so as like the stick/carrot at any given time. Like, we're going to bring tariffs on you. We're going to take tariffs away. How effective has that been in reality? I don't know. Like, kind of remains to be seen, I think, a little bit. We know that a lot of those costs have, in fact, been passed on to consumers because, shocker, that's what happens. Like, producers, when they have to pay more to get their goods to the people who will buy them and consume them, well, they just make those consumers pay more. Like, this isn't rocket science here. So I don't know. The Canada one is particularly interesting because, and no offense, I love you guys, especially Albertans, 51st state or not 51st state, all good. Just big old trading partner. We're good with that too. We're good with anything, man. Freedom. But it's like, it's a little bit toothless coming from Canada. Again, I say that with all due respect. It's just kind of like,
it is though. It is though.
Like really, like, you guys, like, did you do your land acknowledgement before you made that public statement there, bud? Probably not. Probably going to be taken to the Woodhouse for that one. I don't know. So I, like this is not some like revolutionary thought here. It's just that like the tariff war, I think, is more so just it's a bargaining chip whose effectiveness still remains to be seen. Like and one thing is certain though, the market turmoil that all of these things have caused has been incredibly profitable for some people who have been trading, who've been playing a little inside baseball, right? Incredibly profitable. Like, boy, if you've got a little advance notice of some of this tariff news dropping, like, boy, you are in the money. So I don't know. I think, Joe, you made a point earlier too, and I'll make this quick, but you made a point about the U.S. trying to exert dominance through the dollar, essentially, right? This was basically, but this is sort of like, this is also nothing, this isn't a dig on you, this is just like expanding on that. This is really nothing new also, right?
No.
That has been the U.S.'s modus operandi for a long time. Now, the other way in which we exert dominance is by having the most advanced, capable military.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Right?
You maybe you didn't catch because I asked the question before I said that. Now that you're talking about it, do you think the U.S. in 2026 prefers something like what they tried with Iran the first time around, or do you think they prefer something like what they're trying now? This like power from the mic, power through dollars, as opposed to like whatever military intervention they gave a college try to 3 months ago, whenever it was.
I.e. kind of, let's say, hard power versus soft power.
Yeah. I'm not saying boots on the ground, but like
economic,
there's
psychological.
Yeah, like shock and awe, in my view, didn't work in Iran. I don't know if you have a different view, but I'd just be curious, like just your overall kind of thoughts on where they are in terms of their preferences these days.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think it's very clear to say that the shock and awe obviously did not work. The only way that works is if you actually take it to its conclusion. Like that's the only way that works is if you're like, and I'm not endorsing this, guys, again, but like the only way that works is if you're like, we're going to fucking level your country. Like, and then you do it. Otherwise, like if you're not, what did we hear over a year before the Iran war started? It was all of their nuclear capabilities and ballistic missile capabilities have been taken out. Maybe they didn't say the ballistic part at that point. Maybe it was just nuclear capabilities, right? Okay. And then that same thing was used as the thing that was totally taken out was used as the justification for re-entering the conflict at Israel's behest. And okay, and then like we completely decimated, allegedly, all of their different ballistic missile capabilities. But like obviously we didn't, right? Like we totally decimated all of their warfighting but like obviously we didn't. So it's like you either need to take that all the way and engage in massive carnage and, like it needs to be full on war, not just a sparkling conflict, or it's not going to be effective. And it's not going to be effective, especially against what is undoubtedly, like, no matter how you feel about the war, you should be able to acknowledge, like, the Iranian regime is a horrific, horrific regime. Like, they subjugate their people. They treat women, especially, like absolute dog shit, less than human.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like good people over there. That doesn't justify the murdering of innocent civilians, obviously, to anybody who's about to be in the comments like this. But it's just like, if you're going to do the kinetic side, you've got to fucking do it. And you have to do it all the way. Otherwise, it just, like, it doesn't work, right? Clearly it doesn't work because we didn't do it all the way and it hasn't worked. Like, that's just a statement of fact. So I don't know. Will the other angle of kind of more economic sanctions, which we've also been doing for a while, will that be effective? Like, I don't know. I think it just really depends, like, how bad do you want whatever the desired outcome is? Because you're not going to get to it through like this, like engaging in diplomacy with Iran clearly doesn't work. So if you don't want to be viewed as the loser by history, I think we know what has to probably happen next. Not endorsing that, not saying that's good, but that's the reality.
The China angle too is nuts. Like I saw one of your trade negotiators today on Kernan and Sorkin there this morning talking about how the U.S., I think this is accurate, to be honest with you, the U.S. views Canada as sort of a Chinese goods vassal state at this point, and Canada is asking for concessions in the trade agreement that would allow Chinese goods into the states at a number that they just don't agree with and don't want to see. And, Iran is obviously a key partner when it comes to energy going to China. It does feel like everyone is just kind of hovering around the elephant in the room here. And it's the panda, right? And so, what are you supposed to do? when it comes to like you said, what is the desired outcome? They're never going to tell you. But I think we can probably all deduce that this is related to this sort of, I don't even want to say budding. This thing is in full bloom now. Rivalry between East and West, between this communist control economy, control regime, and America, which even with its flaws is truly the last bastion of whatever greatness you think the world is capable of. It's everything from voting for your government to the dream team. There is nothing like this anywhere else in the world. And I think you're seeing this conflict really come to a head here. And, Canada, to your point about being toothless, Canada they want the benefits of, negotiating as an independent state. But when it comes to their economic and social policy, they're anything but. And so the states recognizes this, right? And so I think that's going to be a problem for the negotiation. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but like I was saying before, this is an interesting time to watch this stuff. A lot of people are not paying any attention to this, which is crazy. So if you're in the chat or listening, like you're way ahead of the game, man.
Yeah. We got to get Brennan.
Really quick, Ben.
Go ahead.
Yeah, really quick. So there's a book I'm reading right now. It's called Secret Affairs, and it's the British imperial system's collusion with radical Islam. And it's a lot about Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, the East India Company, obviously for 400 years, like we've been talking about, this American system. So I think the question in all this is if we were doing Israel's bidding, or like truly like, oh, we're just doing it because people are donating to us. Like Walker said, we would have just nuked them into oblivion. It would just turn the whole place into glass. Now that hasn't happened. It's just been this economic warfare the whole time. We have the end of the petrodollar going on. There's a lot of reports of like, we're doing backroom dealings with Russia and China for the last 6 months to a year, coordinating a lot of this stuff. And then there's a lot of like stuff out in the open of like, oh, we're like making it look like we're against each other. So like, the point that you guys are bringing up, which is great, which we don't know, is what is the end game? Like, where is the off ramp? Who is waiting for what shoe to drop? Like, are we just doing something to get to a certain point to give it everything back to the Middle East and like rip things away from the city of London, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, like this weird petrodollar thing, like Israel? There's a lot of moving pieces, and that's where like none of us are privy to it. So like all the talking heads from the legacy media on down, like we have no idea, like you have no clue. And I think that's where we come back to, there's a lot more at play here that we just don't see. And like myopically saying it's one thing or the other, I think it's not just the city of London. It's not just Israel. It's not just this one thing. And I think that's what's really hard to understand because we just don't have all the pieces and none of us know. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there because it's a really fascinating book going back to the history of all this. And there's a couple other books too that I need to get, but yeah, there's more at play.
Yeah. All right, gents, I'm going to take us a break here. On the other side of the break, Walker, I'm going to let you gloat about MSTR and STRC. Also, I do want to bring up the clip I mentioned is, Bitcoin dead man walking. And we've been chatting a little bit just on the tariff side of things. Obviously, myself, Joey, and Nathan all in the failed state of Canada. And there was some big words and puffing of chests up here recently, which amounts to sweet jack shit, to be honest. And again, the elbows up crowd loves it. They love it. They love it. They're eating it up, and it's truly bewildering. So we're going to dive into all of that. Everybody in the chat, thanks for being here. Throw those chairs, drop a like, give this a share, and we'll be back in just a moment.
One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Mines, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantmines.com/sessions. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions.
All right, Walker. Just wanted to highlight really quick. So, I mean, MSTR not as much, but let's Stretch is almost back to par, just about 97.21. I see. Now that said, obviously, Sailor increased USD reserve to 5.1 billion, established additional USD cash of 1.59 billion.
Can you imagine framing anything that you bought at your house this way? Like when I buy, like I bought a PS5 Pro a couple months ago. I don't say to my wife, I increased my PS5 Pro reserve by about $1,000 worth of gear. It's $1,000 I spent on a PS. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So they repurchased.
Come on.
136 million of Stretch repurchased as well. They currently hold 4% of total Bitcoin, 0% net leverage. Walker, I'm going to let you chat first, and then we'll get Joey's thoughts afterwards, and then myself and Brandon will just tag along for the ride.
Okay, so first of all, you should buy spot Bitcoin and hold it in self-custody. But make sure you roll your dice 100 times and don't choose the wrong hardware wallet, and make sure you use a frontier model that's totally open to verify all the source code and the random number generation. And so, you don't lose everything that you've just saved. But okay, terrible jokes aside, you should buy spot Bitcoin, right? I want to clarify that. And I like to clarify that every time I talk about a Bitcoin treasury company. I think that strategy, we can all agree, is different than the rest in the sense that they were the first mover, at least from this particular strategic option. They were not obviously Block held Bitcoin before they did. That just wasn't their sort of MO in terms of how they were marketing themselves. Also, shout out to Block. I don't know if you guys have seen what they've been doing with the bird stuff. Just really hilarious shit. I don't know. They've got some beautiful.
What's the bird shit? I missed that.
Okay, just while we're talking, just go to berd.xyz. Okay. Just while we're chatting, okay. It's just so funny. Okay, on the STRC thing, first of all, I think I might have like a fractional share of STRC left in like Robinhood or something from when I bought a couple of them and then got rid of them. Because I'm not at the stage in my life where I'm trying to just have an income generating instrument, right? I'm looking for things that will vastly grow my purchasing power, not just maintain it and give me cash flow, because I have cash flow because I work, right? Different things for different people at different points in life. I think it's bird.xyz also. Don't quote me on that. If not, just like go to Jack's profile.
I think
there's something
this is
weird.
Wild. What is it?
Yeah. Okay.
Very bizarre.
Okay, you're at the right place then.
Yeah.
Don't click the button that says "Don't click here." Anyway, on the STRC thing, it's like, and Nathan's not here, so I'm not going to dunk on him. But Joey, you've been kind of ambivalent around it. Let's be honest. You're a bit of a statist and a suit coiner, in disguise. So we'll just leave it at that. But the point here being, oh no, shocking, they got it back up almost to par, right? Because it was never pegged, right? But they got it almost back up to par of 100. Shocking, right? It's almost like that was their goal, was to get it back up there when it went down. And it's like on the MSTR side of things, I don't know what people thought was going to happen. I feel like everybody gets to this point when Bitcoin's chop solidated, to borrow a James checkmate term. By the way, the only newsletter I actually pay for is James Check's Check on Chain. So shout out to Checkmate. It's like, what do you guys think? It's honestly, it's the same mentality that no coiners have with Bitcoin, where it's like, and just to clarify again, owning MSTR is not the same as owning Bitcoin, and owning STRC is not the same as owning Bitcoin, because when you own Bitcoin, you own Bitcoin. When you own MSTR, you don't. You own a security. When you own STRC, you don't. You own an income-producing security, right? So they're not the same thing, and they're not substitutes. People can do whatever the fuck they want with their money. That's your prerogative. But this same mentality of no coiners, where it's like Bitcoin's down in a bear market, Bitcoin's chop solidating, And every, wannabe Peter Schiff is out there just, doing la cucaracha on Bitcoin's grave, right? And it's like bears get to be wrong, or excuse me, Bitcoin bears get to be right, like most of the time in the present. But then they get to be wrong, really violently wrong, metaphorically speaking, YouTube, figuratively, whatever. They get to be very intensely wrong for very short periods of time, but then they're extremely wrong in the long term, right? And this is the same thing on the MSTR side. Like people, when Bitcoin is going down or sideways, people look for someone to blame. You look for a villain. You look for somebody on which to foist your problems, to stick and say, look, he said he'd never sell your Bitcoin. And even though he hasn't personally sold his Bitcoin, his company's doing it, even though he has a fiduciary duty to his shareholders. And like, that's literally his only job. And that's the only reason you'd buy his security. And it's just all so tiresome, to be honest, because it's like, if you thought that MSTR was going to go to zero and fail, you fundamentally probably thought Bitcoin was. Like you probably thought a hard fork was a good idea, right? You probably thought your Blake 2B miners just ripping off Sia coin, which is ironically a distributed file storage system shitcoin. Incredible levels of irony there. You probably thought that was a good idea, right? You probably thought Bitcoin was doomed. And again, I'm not telling you to buy strategy or STRC. I will not recommend that you do anything except stack sats. I do other things besides buy just Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the vast majority of what I have, probably irresponsibly long Bitcoin, but I think it's pretty responsible, and when the price goes up, I feel even more responsible about it. I can finally look my wife in the eye. No, she's hardcore Bitcoiner, so it's easy all the time. Got beautiful eyes as well. But point here being, like, what did you guys think was going to happen? Not you guys specifically. You generally. Of course, strategy is going to go back up. Saylor's not a fucking idiot. He knows what he's doing, and he understands Bitcoin extremely, extremely well. He's playing a game. I think he's going to be very successful at this game, as he already has been. And if you think that strategy is going to fail, is going to go to zero, that STRC is going to fail, is going to go to zero, I don't know. Like, okay, like short it then, like do whatever you want. Nobody cares. But sitting there and bitching on the sidelines while another guy actually, is the man in the arena, I just think that's weak sauce, man. Not you, Joey, but you got very strong sauce. I hope you've been drinking your milk lately.
I hear you saying it.
Joey, you sold the bottom.
I don't think yeah. I don't think Saylor's going to fail. There's two big concerns for me for if you're an MSTR. If you're like an MSTR maxi, and there's a lot of people out there who are like they're in the Telegram groups, they're in the Twitter spaces, they're in that like True North, whatever, X page. I don't even know what you call that thing. Maybe you call it a group. I'm not sure. These guys prefer MSTR to spot. And I don't know at this stage, I don't think it's obviously not a good idea to prefer it to spot, but I think there's a couple things now that are starting to should give you pause if you're like an MSTR holder forever type. One of them is that clearly the priority is, like you said, Walker, the success of strategy, and the success of strategy, I don't think revolves around the price of MSTR anymore. I think it's about the digital credit, and Saylor's messaging and Fong's messaging, and their official documentation says as much. Doesn't mean MSTR is going to zero, but they care a lot about that side of the business, at least for the time being. That's problem number one, I think, for those folks. Problem number two.
Just quick, the problem, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the problem is the messaging, you mean?
No. The problem is that if you're an MSTR shareholder, the price of MSTR doesn't seem to be their concern at the moment. What they seem to be doing with MSTR is letting it get to net asset value, like back to the 1 ratio net asset value, and then diluting again to pay their obligations. Now when their obligations are finished, could be a completely different story. They have some debt, obviously, that they have to cover. They have the STRC and STRD and STRF dividends that need to be paid, and they want to bring STRC back to par. When those things roll over, who knows what this will look like. But for the time being, that's what they're using MSTR for. No doubt about that. The other thing
do you think just as sorry, I apologize again. Now I'm done interrupting.
go ahead.
I promise. I didn't even raise my hand. What an American I am. Do you think that over the next 5 years, MSTR will outperform Bitcoin to the upside or the downside, depending on which way Bitcoin goes? Like, I think Bitcoin's going up over the next 5 years.
Same. You know what I don't. You know what I don't
think about
think.
MSTR?
I don't think MSTR is gonna reach another all-time high this bull market. How's
So
that?
you
for a
don't think
call?
it'll outperform Bitcoin?
No, I don't think so.
Percentage
Maybe it might
wise,
outperforming Bitcoin. Like from like if you look at the MSTR price, what is an outperform? Like if it gets to its old high, was that like a 3.5x? Do I think Bitcoin's going to get to 210? Fuck, I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But I don't think. Yeah, you know what, Walker? I'll stop fence sitting. I'll say I don't think it's going to outperform Bitcoin between now and 2031. You know, we'll come back here. You and me will both be a little more gray. You'll get your first grays, and I'll be a little more gray.
Much more gray.
Yeah, and we'll revisit
probably.
this. Yeah, we'll revisit this at that point. The thing that kind of gives me pause as well is that if I look at the companion, the sort of sister assets, the sister equities, sister tickers on the Strive side, ASST and SATA. SATA has been more successful staying at par with, it has nothing, I've said this before, I don't think it has anything to do with the Bitcoin backing. I don't think it has anything to do with the leverage, the net leverage, zero leverage, more Bitcoin, less Bitcoin. I think it has to do with one thing and one thing only. And that is there's a opportunity to take and use your money during the day. If you're in SATA, that just doesn't exist in MSTR. You take it out in the morning, go to the market with it, come back at night, get the dividend, do it again. That's the thing that MSTR doesn't have, and it's helped SATA stay at par. The other thing I would say that's a little bit weird is ASST is significantly outperforming MSTR over the last few days. Normally, I wouldn't say that's a big deal because obviously there's a little less volume there probably, and people have sort of this. There's also like the unit bias and stuff. The thing that gives me pause though is that you would expect this sort of like swarm around MSTR, given its history of performance, to really encourage buyers as Bitcoin goes up 30%. And I mentioned this on last week's show too. And I don't know what MSTR did today. Did it do 2.5%, 2%, something like that? Like 2% to me is not enough for the last like 4 days of Bitcoin price action. It feels to me like that's just not enough of an outperformance to give me a lot of faith. Now, I'll be the first to admit that you can't make a judgment on an entire bull market of performance yet to arrive on the first 4 days, 22, 25% move in Bitcoin. But I would say that without doing a back test, maybe someone in the chat, one of you guys who's like, right curve autistic, cyber hornet can tell us, has there ever been a weaker MSTR performance on a 20 or more % move in Bitcoin than we just saw? I would guess
28% in the last 5 days.
So given Bitcoin's 22 or 20. Yeah. So like, that's what I mean. The outperformance is not that great. Right. And so I just wonder like, where is that performance? When are you really going to start to see that like AI rocket ship type move in MSTR? I don't know. And also, I said this on Friday, but I'll repeat it because you're here tonight. And like, obviously you and me have talked about this in the back chat a bunch. The thing that gives me pause as well is the fact that these other vehicles, especially the credit vehicles, didn't exist in 24. The treasury companies didn't exist in 24. And I think that Saylor understands that his story, because of the debt obligation, the next 3 years, is he understands this is kind of a sloppy narrative. And I think he's trying to clean it up. Now, I will say to the public here, much like I've said to you guys, I fucking hope he gets this right because it benefits all of us if he gets it right. And that treasury strategy that he's employing, he did it in about the most risky way you could. And he's going to weather it if he gets a price bump in Bitcoin. It's as simple as that. This thing is going to work for him. He's going to be fine on the obligations. STRC is going to keep paying out. That was the thesis the whole time. He's going to get it right if he gets a price bump. And other companies may try to follow suit. Ben is shaking his head. I don't know if we get some disagreement here. I hope he gets it right, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hog the mic here. I know me and Walker are going back and forth, but
jeez, Joey.
Yeah.
Okay, gents. I have
Who
to
was
pivot
that?
here.
Who was the guy in the back, by the way, who joined the chat?
Okay,
What the
you're
fuck
gonna
was
see.
that?
You're gonna see. You're gonna see. First, I need to tee him up. I need to play.
Is this a
clip. So
surprise guest?
I've
Yes.
never seen this guy in my life.
See,
His
what?
head just popped up on my screen there.
We're
for a
not
second when we
prepared
were
for
talking.
this.
You're doing a lot.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so I want to tee this guy up. Awesome dude. We'll introduce him in a moment for those unfamiliar, but let me bring up this first. Okay, so this is a clip, recent pod, and I'll play in a sec. But Matt Crowder talking about how he basically thinks Bitcoin is dead, and what is he doing with his coins? And so let's just take a little listen in, and then I'm going to show you the quote tweet that that came with it, and that will tee in our upcoming guest. By the way, special guest in the background. Hold your phone vertical because it's not flipping with you. Okay, hold on.
Hey, there'll be a market. You talked about Bitcoin being captured, right? So when you say Bitcoin is being captured, so it's essentially saying it's pretty much dead. Is that a fair statement?
I would say it's dead man walking.
So dead man walking, either way, dead or dead man walking.
It's not dead yet because it's got, it's worth $70-some thousand and you can send it, etc.
So then this is a bold statement though, right? There's a lot of people in Bitcoin and we've always been in Bitcoin for a while. We love the principles, the core, everything.
I love all that myself.
Exactly. So but saying that it's dead or dead man walking, and is it fair to say that why even have Bitcoin then for you?
So I haven't moved any to an exchange to sell it yet because these replay attacks are actually kind of difficult to think through. And so because I have to send my Bitcoin either to a person to sell it to them or to an exchange. So I'm going to move my Bitcoin. I'll start moving it after September 1st is a short answer.
So you're going to be selling all your Bitcoin then.
Okay. So just to tag in there, Forrest Hoddle, dude makes some awesome tutorials. I'm so happy to see more educators in Bitcoin taking the time to go step by step through all of these different things. If you're not subscribed to Forrest Hoddle, please go check him out. Just great to see more people doing this. Nonetheless, he quoted it. The quote that he zeroed in on, I haven't sold my Bitcoin because dealing with replay attacks is hard. And then he went on to say, what a lame excuse for someone who has been a Bitcoin educator for years. It's not hard at all. There are many ways to do it. I'll link one below. And he does indeed have a tutorial on how to do it. So rather than play that, I've got Forrest right here. So, yo, dude, how's it going?
Yo,
what's up, brother?
Can I just get a quick sound check? I'm not in my usual space here. How do I sound? I sound okay?
Sounds great, and the stash looks strong.
That's right.
Yeah, stash game.
Thank you.
Forrest, thanks for being here. I wanted to chat about this anyways, so I figured why not just bring on another fellow educator in regards to replay protection, replay attacks. And do you want to give us just a quick TLDR? What is replay protection? What's a replay attack? And how do you deal with that when there's a fork and there's the original Bitcoin and you're trying to navigate that?
Sure. Yeah. So if you look back into history, a really great example of replay attacks is actually ETH Classic. When that fork happens, it was a hard fork that happened that basically didn't implement any sort of replay protection. And so there was many replay attacks. So it's a good example of that. Apologize. I'm minding the baby.
We've all got them. We've all got them.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
Beautiful sound.
So a replay attack can happen when there's two chains that exist, which is the case right now, right? There's a persistent chain split with the BIP 110 side. The transactions, good luck getting one through, but technically there's a persistent chain split. So those two chains are identical in a lot of ways as far as what a transaction is, the signature type, the addresses, everything like that. So one transaction, if you make a transaction on one chain, it can be replayed on the other chain and be valid. So it's something that can happen. Bots can do it, or individuals could replay transactions on both chains and the problem is that you're trying to transact on one chain and unintentionally that transaction is happening on the other chain. So a way around that is to just make a transaction that's only valid on one chain. So there's a fork that's happened, and you can basically buy Bitcoin, bring it into your wallet, combine it with your existing UTXOs that exist on both chains, make a transaction, and that transaction is only valid on one chain because that same UTXO doesn't exist on the other chain. That's a very, very, very simple overview of how to protect your own coins. I've also said, basically, if the BIP110 side doesn't offer in replay protection with this hard fork that's happening on September, whatever it is, that's an attack on Bitcoiners, because this is going to cause people to unintentionally send Bitcoin on either chain. And I mean, there's no way around that, in my opinion. That's an attack on Bitcoiners. People making transactions that they didn't mean to do because those people didn't add in replay protection, which I've kind of seen back and forth stuff. I don't know if you guys have more information on that. And I can get into more of the specifics about how to do replay protection if you want, but simply creating a transaction that could only exist on one side of the chain is a very simple way to protect your Bitcoin from being replayed on the other chain.
Awesome. Yeah.
I love the replay protection stuff, but like, isn't it true, Forrest, that there's nowhere to sell this other coin anyway? So like there's nothing you can do with it.
This was going to be my question. Like, it's like, oh no, somebody else has control of my worthless shit coin. Like, oh no.
It's more so, I'd say probably people trying to sell the fork. And I think that's the biggest risk, right? People trying to sell the fork, cash in on like the extra few bucks they're going to get off
if you
of
could
it.
sell it.
If you can sell it.
If anyone wanted to buy it.
Where are you going to sell
Here's
it?
the thing, though. This is actually, the transactions are stuck in the mempool on this other chain. But this is a ripe environment for scammers, because you can say, hey, I'll buy your BIP110 coins. I'll do a peer-to-peer transaction with you. Send me all of your BIP110 coins. I'll give you whatever you want for them in reason. But really, you can replay that transaction. Yeah, sure. But you can replay that transaction on the real Bitcoin chain. If they haven't protected their Bitcoin from a replay attack, you can then take all of their real Bitcoin, because they just sent all of their BIP110 coin to your address. So the same thing would happen with Bitcoin. It would be sent to your address. So it's a ripe environment for scams.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky. Honestly, like if there's people out there and you got Bitcoin and you're like, how am I going to navigate this? And you don't know quite what to do. The best bet is just leave the fork, leave it there.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything with it. And use Bitcoin as you would. If somebody steals the, I don't know, $2 fork coin from you and replays that, like, are you really that much worse off? Probably not. So
definitely go to Sovereign Sessions for how to protect yourself against replay attacks. Don't go to Bitcoin University, because apparently Professor doesn't know how to do it.
Or Forrest has a YouTube channel I'm looking at right now with like 40,000 subscribers. Like this is
what?
And Forrest, do I understand that you're Canadian?
Indeed.
I'm Canadian, man.
Oh, fucking right. Thank God.
Look,
I'm numbered again.
Yeah.
Where are you? West of where?
I'm west of all of you. I'm on Vancouver Island.
Oh, okay. You're on the island. Nice. All right.
Nice. Well, Forrest, I did want to say huge shout out. Thanks for coming on, giving us the TLDR on the replay protection. I'm still down to do a tutorial collab sometime with your game.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Need to do that.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for having me.
I just subscribed to YouTube.
Yes.
See you, brother.
Go, Dad. All right. Cheers, man. All right.
Cheers.
Great mustache.
Wow.
You guys,
Wow.
Brandon
Stash the
and
kids.
Joey, you guys should grow mustaches.
Yeah.
Damn. I can't do it. Should we do Movember? Or we could do Movember coming
You
up.
can
for
do
you
a
guys.
stash.
I can see.
Look
I
at
can
that.
see
You can
the
see
budding stash there, Joey.
It's not very good. It's there's a line for me between like, being able to, like, let's say play with my daughter on the playground and not being able to, and it is maybe another 2 days out from where I am right now. So I can't be around schools.
What are you trying to say about men with mustaches?
I'll get picked up by the cops. I'll get picked up by the cops. This guy looks suspicious.
Oh man.
Can't have that. Can't
Maybe
have
if
that.
you like darkened your skin tone a little, you'd be fine.
It's hard to do in Canada, my friend.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. All right, gents, we're going to go to break here really quick. Again, huge shout out to Forrest Hoddle for joining us. Make sure you guys go find him. He does have a full-on tutorial on replay attacks, replay protection, all that stuff. But nonetheless, other side of the break, a couple things. Actual phishing attacks, fallout from the data breaches. This one specifically around Trezor, but there's plenty of data breaches, and we'll see examples of other stuff that's been going down. Just it is a ripe environment for this kind of stuff right now, and it's going to continue. But also, we were talking tariffs earlier. I wouldn't mind getting some Canadian flavor in there and talking about how Mr. Carney has been doing.
Sure.
So we'll just touch on that a little briefly there. And a couple other things that I want to touch on in there. And then also there's time-lapse footage of Mitch McConnell effectively being dead. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. We're going to get into that too. Either way. Yeah, exactly. Thanks everybody in the chat for being here. Make sure you drop a like, give this a share. And on the other side, we'll talk about that and some more before we tap out. We'll see you in just a moment.
Don't leave your life savings to chance. With Bitcoin, it is imperative that your setup is both secure and accessible, not just to yourself, but also to your family if anything should happen to you. That's why I've assembled a team of the best educators on the planet over at btcmentor.io. We help you make sure your Bitcoin setup is rock solid, and we also help you set up your freedom and sovereignty tech, things like privacy, self-hosted AI, and sovereign computing. In a world of increasing surveillance and censorship, isn't it time you leveled up? Head over to btcmentor.io and book a call today. When it comes to peer-to-peer trading and lending, instant self-custody, and no KYC, HODL is the place to be. You can sign up with just an email address, and once you're there, you can start browsing offers immediately, whether you're looking to buy and sell, or whether you're looking to lend or borrow. You can check them out today at the links down below.
All right, gents, really quick, just a bit of a warning to anybody out there that has a Trezor, purchased a Trezor, or actually, I'm sure it's happening to other people too, because these people tend to just kind of blanket shoot off these types of things. But there is an email phishing attack on the go right now. Par for the course, critical security advisory, firmware entropy vulnerability, basically saying like, go on this website, upgrade, all this stuff. And what are they asking you to do here? Connect your Trezor device, authenticate your current firmware, complete the automated entropy audit to confirm your seed was generated with full TRNG entropy. Basically, sounds like they want your seed. So everybody, please be careful. Of course, this is coming off the back of, it was around August 13th that they announced there was a breach. And this was actually not from Trezor, but from their shipping partner, which also there was another entity. It was Heatbit as well. He was using the same shipping partner. And there's been plenty of other people targeted also in and around just the cold card panic. People are being targeted there. Here's how you get safe. Go here, input your seed phrase or make sure that it was properly generated, all that kind of stuff. So
what is the fix for this? What is the fix for this? This shipping
never
company,
open your emails. No,
but the shipping company
I don't know
thing,
why people are so confused about this. First of all, like really easily, if you accidentally, as I had done in my earlier days in Bitcoin, like 2 weeks ago, put in like an email that I use for other stuff when ordering some sort of hardware device, just don't open that email ever again. You want to know how many unread emails I have in Gmail? It's like 50,000. You can't get phished if you never open your email. Lesson one. Lesson two, just have a burner email you use, and anything you get from that email, you just never open it. Send it to a specific folder, like do it in Proton. You can have like 30 fucking addresses in Proton. It's
actually, yeah, Proton is a great thing. Did you know that they have
the one-off
feature? Yeah, the one-off. So basically, Proton, you can generate an email that gets forwarded to your main email for one specific sign-up.
Apple
at
has this
any-
too. iPhones do this too.
Yeah. And
Proton
at any
lets
point
you
in the
track
future,
it a little bit easier, so you know if
Yeah.
there was a data breach, exactly where the breach came from.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. So it's like any single service, whatever, it has just one email. And at any point you can say that email was compromised, that no longer comes through to my inbox. And so you just rug the one and you still have access to your full regular inbox. Great, very useful thing that that makes me want to use it all the time. So I'm kind of shifting over and starting to use more of the Proton stuff. But anyways, Brandon, I kind of want to get your thoughts around this just in general. Being careful with phishing. There's been so much bullshit going on here. Any general thoughts on your end?
Yeah, I mean, it just you feel, again, empathy for those. I just saw someone the other day. It was like, yeah, I moved all my shit furiously from Cold Card only to get fished before I get Trezor. I mean, it's just like,
Oh no.
you're just like, oh man. But again, we've talked about this many times. I mean, you have to be down for the battle. We would love everything to go perfectly for, and it just kind of relates to even Cratter and earlier. Like I like Matt, and Walker and I have talked about this. We've all kind of talked about this. I've had really good conversations with Matt over the years. I've learned a lot from him back in the day. I used to watch his stuff all the time, and I don't know. I mean, it's when I talk to him, it's a lot of what I see just in the world today of and it really just Bitcoiners, like us wanting to be this utopian version of what's going on. So where I'm going with it is like, we want some perfect person to be president, and then we want some perfect scenario and perfect protocol and the perfect people to be running it. And it's like perfect and utopian this. It's like, that's not reality. And like, as much as I want that, when I talked to Matt, and numerous other people that were in that same vein of thinking, it was, well, Donald Trump's really pissed me off because he's doing things he said he wouldn't do, or it's this and that. And we're going to fork ourselves off, and we keep having our energy, in essence. We keep cutting ourselves off the knees, just like restart over and over.
Whoa.
And like at one of these points, don't let good be the enemy of great. You mean, like, you never get started if there's always going to be some like perfect version somewhere else. And like, well, we got to restart over here. And this is where we said this with libertarians over the years too, of just removing themselves from society and disappearing into the corn stalks like Field of Dreams. Like, if you don't fight the fight, if you leave, then of course you're not winning, and then you make the chances here less that we're going to win either. Like, you're both end up losing, and that's the problem. That evil is so good at dividing good people, dividing people that have good intentions, many good intentions, and making us class warfare and gender warfare and all these different things, and gets us very good at dividing ourselves. So I wanted to say that about earlier, because again, like we know a lot of people that didn't believe quite like us with the Bitcoin 10 stuff. We're very, very close in many senses. But even with this, with like the Trezor, and where I'm going with all this is, you have to love to battle, and battling is a part of life. As much as I don't want war in my life, I don't want to see car accidents happen, or I don't want these things. These things do happen, and this is part of life, and we're in a fallen world. As much as I don't want that to happen, I didn't want Adam and Eve to eat the apple and screw us all over. But guess what? Here we are. And that pragmatism and having some of that, having a utopian vision, or at least just a vision for like, we want a better world, but also mixing that and contrasting that with, hey, pragmatically speaking, where we are, it is a fallen place, and we need to battle on every war front possible. In Bitcoin itself, you have to love to battle. You have to be paranoid. You can't just walk into self-custody and be like, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. Like, it's a Chase account, and like, I can just do whatever and someone's going to give me my money back. Or I'm going over to Trezor, and like Walker said, there's many easy ways to be prepared for this, but we've been trained through government-run schools and media and society and prediction markets, and just a mulligan. I'm going to respawn. I died in Call of Duty or Battlefield. I'm just going to respawn again. Like, my life, I could just keep returning and restarting over and over. That's not how life works. And we're seeing this in real time, where Bitcoin upgrades you. You have to become a different person, a better version of yourself, in order to withstand what comes with Bitcoin, and being something or someone or protocol that society is going to stand on eventually over time. So becoming a different person. And these little things are little things at the end of the day. And Jim Rohn always talked about what's easy to do is easy not to do. We have to become different people if you want to be a part of this new world going forward. Otherwise, you will just be discarded into the masses, into the abyss, into the CBDCs and 15-minute cities, and you can have that, and that's fine. But Bitcoiners, we have to be careful trying to save everyone. I've been guilty of this over time. I think a lot of Bitcoiners have been guilty of trying to save everyone, have this perfect solution, and it's not. You just got to roll the sleeves up. You got to put the helmet on and go to work and battle.
All right. Well, I want to get to a couple things before we round out. One is we got to touch quickly, given we've got the half Canadian cast here, specifically on the Canadian tariff bullshit that's gone down. So yeah, let's actually jump over here to Trump's note here. Canada has been ripping off the United States of America for years. Their ridiculously high tariffs on our farmers and farm products has made life impossible for these great American patriots and has long created a $60 billion deficit between our two countries. Not sustainable and not anymore. On January 1st, 2027, tariffs on all cars, trucks, both large and small automotive parts, and steel will be increased to 50%. Build in the US, and there are zero tariffs. Canada will be treated like a state no longer. On trade and in other ways also, they are among the worst nations in the world to deal with. They feel entitled, and yet we don't need Canada. They need us. They do 95% of their business with the US. Pretty much true. With us, the exact opposite. We also have Doug Ford. Canada threatens to cut off all electrical and critical minerals to the U.S., including high-grade nickel and uranium. If the Canada-U.S. trade war worsens, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, I'll cut them off. You won't get a grain of sand out of Ontario. What would they do without the high-grade nickel? He said everything is on the table. He also told Trump to kiss his ass.
Pretty nuts, this guy. He's out of control.
Yeah. And then Trump, lots of bluster from Doug Ford, who's premier of Canadian province of Ontario, but who is better known as the less charismatic, intelligent, and overall unimpressive brother of the late great Rob Ford.
I didn't see this. This is great.
America has been carrying Canada for decades, but no longer. The USA will always be far bigger, richer, and stronger than Canada. Without the United States, Canada couldn't survive. It's where they get all their money, and because of their current bad leadership, primarily Governor Carney and his flunky Ford, they will not be allowed to keep taking advantage of the U.S. They're key to survival. Remember, much of the electricity, oil in Canada that Canada gets is transported through the USA. Someone should get these clowns to fall in line, or the consequences for Canada will be far worse. Canada's unemployment rate is now at 10%. I don't know if that's true. And rapidly rising. Their businesses are fleeing for the United States. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And it's all because of their failed policies and inept leadership. Yep, absolutely. So a mixed bag there. But Joe, I'm going to toss it to you. Thoughts here? It's
pretty tough to be Canadian these days if you're sort of an eyes open Canadian. A lot of people are looking at the trade war the same way they looked at stuff like COVID, same way they looked at stuff like the election of Donald Trump in 2016 and again in 2024, that it's the end of the world, that they call him the orange idiot, they call him a buffoon, they call him a dictator, they call him all these things. You should be calling him and asking him nicely to make an agreement with us, is what you should be doing. He's a little off on the 95%. I think the number, this is like the per dollar exports. So, you can maybe pick up a better number than this if you tried, but something like 77% of all the exports from Canada go to the United States. That's everything. That's like textiles, energy, you name it. If it was made here, 77% of the time, if we export it somewhere else, that's where it goes. That number, I think, is like 14% for the States and us, which is one of the reasons why this time around, as you saw, Trump obviously saying, look, we don't need Canada. They don't have to pass the tariff costs if they do come down, if we do end up going through with this in January. More on that in a sec. If they do try and pass through tariff costs to, like the tariff costs don't get passed through to the United States citizens because it's not quite the same bilateral trade agreement that it is for us, right? If they don't export to us or import from us, they'll get it from somewhere else. They have the biggest market on earth. Everyone wants access to that market. And we, to date, have had the most preferential access, whether it was with Trump, before Trump, you name it, NAFTA, Kuzma, even these sort of, ad hoc agreements that we've come up with over the last, 12 months or so. We always had the best access. And Prime Minister Carney has said that a bunch of times too. We have the best deal of any nation. That was a win only 6 months ago. And now having the best access is not enough. So two things there I think are important. Number one, like I said earlier, I really do think this is clearly hinging on whether or not China wants us to get into this agreement at the cost of economic partnership with them. Clearly, this is what the United States wants. They want to say, you want access to our market, we want you to restrict Chinese access to your market then, period, end of story. We're not doing it. Now, you may ask yourself, if you're an American watching this, why would Canada care about something like that? How much influence could China have in Canada? Without getting into the gory details, of which there are plenty, look up Chinese police stations in Ontario and go down that rabbit hole. The Chinese government operates off radar police stations in the province of Ontario and probably other places too, where they pick up and apply pressure to Chinese expats who are not friendly to the CCP. That is a true story. That's problem number one. I still think, though, for my money, the simplest answer is these two guys are working together on this little kayfabe puppet show they got going on, because nothing benefits Carney more than being able to say we're trying to stick it to the States. Nothing benefits Ford more than being able to say that, and nothing benefits Trump more than being able to say we're trying to, make a deal with these guys that makes sense for us. I think it works for all of them. And the reason that I think this theory is becoming more and more credible, more and more plausible, is because who the fuck cares January 1st? I'll tell you who cares. We could have another election before then. The States has an election coming up in 90 days. I wouldn't be surprised to see both countries have elections. The Premier of Ontario could call an election. We have all the Ontario municipal elections here in 3 months as well. So Toronto's going to get a new mayor. Hamilton's going to get a new mayor. These are places that are industrial centers. They are on Lake Erie. They are on Lake Ontario. These places ship to and do business with the United States. All these guys would benefit from a little bit more elbows up. And I think that's part of the reason you're seeing this, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Carney won the election strictly on a
totally.
Trump is the worst thing that could possibly happen. And if you don't elect me, then nobody will stand up to him. I'm the guy.
Do you think the Brookfield real estate guy, Ben, doesn't know Donald Trump? They don't hang out. The Brookfield real estate guy has got pictures partying with Jizzy Max, right, in the UK at what looks to be just a field full of molly-addled middle-aged party animals. Do you think these guys don't know each other? They never met before? Come on.
Yeah, 90% of his investments all in the US. Like it's crazy. It's yeah. So fully agree. Gents, I'm gonna bring it back to the US because I have to show this gem of a video. The video's already sped up. But I've sped it up more.
We don't have the full 20-hour version. Why?
This is and it has musical accompaniment, which I'm going to leave in. So let's watch and enjoy.
Mitch McConnell is in the top, not moving. FYI.
Up here.
Diaper just full of piss at this point.
After my picture fades and darkness has turned to gray, watching through windows, you're wondering if I'm okay.
It's like some gross, just humiliation ritual of the American people right there. Like, God.
So I read. He spent, so it says here, spent nearly 20 hours on the Senate floor, basically frozen in place. Is that true?
Jeez.
It looks
What was going on for 20 hours? 20 hours seems like a long time. Is that like a...
That was just a clip of it. Apparently he sat there for like...
When was the last 20-hour session in Congress?
Could have been a filibuster type situation. I don't know. Who knows? Okay. But also, this is like...
Did they just come
This
back?
is the same sort of humiliation ritual that has been done with... So you look at like Pelosi, even who had she just walked in like one of those days.
great fucking meme here.
Oh my God.
So good. So good.
Like this shit happens all the time where you have these octogenarian kleptocrats who are trotted out in literal wheelchairs. Who was the other woman from California? Brandon,
Waters.
help me out on this.
Oh, no, not Waters.
One that passed
She
away.
passed away.
Boxer.
Feinstein. No,
Feinstein.
Feinstein. Diane Feinstein.
You're right, Boxer and
It's
Feinstein.
elder abuse. It's elder abuse. You're bringing these people out there. You can look at them and say, yeah, that person's obviously like not even in cognitive decline. Like the decline happened. They should be like with their families, having their last moments together. Why are you trotting them out as this political puppet? Like, it's disgusting, right? Stop it. Just stop it. So much stuff gets fixed when we stop letting these I don't even know if they're boomers. Like, they may be out of that. They may be that,
it's silent generation.
They may be silent. But like, so much shit gets fixed when we stop letting these boomers get used as props by their staffers, because that is what's happening. That is legitimately what's happening. You have these boomers who are not with it. Look at Biden himself. He's the president of the fucking United States. Trump may be old, but you can hear the guy speak and actually like speak off script and not be like, and you're like, okay, the guy's like, I hope I'm that with it. At whatever you think of Trump, we would all be lucky to be that with it at his age, right? Apparently McDonald's and fucking Coca-Cola is the answer. Like, I don't know, but like, it's just fucking embarrassing. Like, stop it. How are we supposed to take ourselves seriously as a country? Granted, still the greatest country in the world. Cue the crash outs in the chats where people are like, no, Mexico's better. It's like, no, it's not. Stop being an idiot. It's not. And no offense, Canadians, Canada's not better. Switzerland.
Oh, we know.
Maybe Switzerland, but except also not better because Switzerland doesn't have the scale, also doesn't have the track record that America does. Switzerland, it's like, you did a great job being neutral. You do a great job keeping out immigrants. That is the reason you are where you are.
You've also got a pretty high per capita rate of firearms ownership.
Sure do. Turns out when you just have a bunch of homogenous population, they don't shoot each other. That's shocking, But anyway, I'll end on this. Like, so much stuff gets exponentially better when we get this current class of political cretins out of here. And luckily, they're going out on their, I hope it's all peacefully. I hope you go out as peacefully as Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor. Like, I hope you go out that peacefully, to all of you, or at home with your families, as you should. What we have to be diligent, what we have to be very aware of, is the fact that there is a new class that is going to come in, the AOC class, that comes in with their hip little videos and all their fun stuff, right? And what they're preaching is fucking communism, which is going to kill hundreds of millions more. It's already killed 100 million people. It will kill hundreds of millions more or billions more if we let that scourge find purchase once again. Do not let that happen. We need to demand, and honestly, this goes back to what Brandon said. It's like, you cannot abdicate responsibility. You can't. You have to actually do something. Because if you don't, power abhors a vacuum. And the worst people, the people you don't want in power are the ones who want it. The people you want in power are the people who do everything they can not to take power. Something to keep in mind.
I love it.
Yeah.
Brandon, you want to tag in there anything?
No, I mean, Walker said so many great things right there. I mean, I think it's, again, shitty times are coming for many people. I think there's probably gonna be shitty times for a lot of us to a degree, right? It's going to be relative maybe, but again, you see homelessness, you see the mental decline everywhere in society, the sedation, the legal drugs, the illegal drugs, just the mental, the suicide, just all these problems that we're having in society. I mean, do we think that's going to revert and go back the other direction, or do we think that's going to get worse? And that's why we talked about many times here, preparing, whether it's, the sovereign sessions, preparing yourself digitally. I was joking this weekend, like getting rid of my phone, because like someone said earlier, like the spam messages, Walker was saying that. I was like, I don't look at my email anymore on my phone. My texts are getting spammed. I get spam calls every single day. Like, it's a mess. Like, I don't even use the phone. If I need to do something, I'll do it on the computer. Like, it's just such a mess, like just reverting back almost to the older world and just being more present. And to me, so I was half joking about this weekend, but there's going to be crazy times coming. And so whether it's war going on or rumors of war, or you're going to have, whatever, climate lockdowns or 15-minute city lockdowns, the flock cameras. I mean, there's so many things that are happening. And are we going to do something about it or not? And it only takes 1% of people, 0.5%, 2% of people to just even go into local politics to do certain things. Like generally all I've seen for 30 years now is, again, we talk about libertarians, make fun of libertarians, like walking into the corn stalks, but pretty much everyone's done that. Like we just wait around, everyone sits around and does nothing. And then we like bitch and moan about like, oh, like why is this idiot who's 90 in there, you know, and he's dead. He's not even alive. Like, well, that's because the good people are not here. Like we've self-selected ourselves out of society. And to me, that's where the pain comes back around. So I think maybe the answer isn't right this second coming in, but when there's enough pain, and I think we're going to know when there's pain, like when there's real pain across society, because we're just not there yet, then it'll be the time, it'll be a signal, the bat signal inside you, the intuition that says, all right, it's time for me to act. It's kind of time for good people to actually stand up and do something. And that's where we are. I think there has to be more pain. Pain's a great teacher. And as sad as it is to say, I think we need to keep the vision of where we want to go in mind, obviously, these great documents and the Bitcoin white paper, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and all these things. Keep your firearms, get some gas, you know, 5Gs, ground grub, you know, gasoline, all this stuff, right? Like be prepared because anything could be coming going forward. And before we go, though, really quick, I do want to shout out my Slay Queens, by the way, just quick side tangent. Enos, Cantor, and Royce. I want to just, you know, you go girls, you keep doing your thing. So I had to shout them out today. And just for everything they're doing for women everywhere. I have 3 girls.
What did you call them? The Slay Queens?
Slay Queens.
Call them?
Yeah. So, you know, Nathan sent me a little back chat, just a tweet of the Slay Queens. They made a video together, I think, and just showing, you know, what they're going to bring to WNBA. And nothing's better than accelerationism in that sense of showing, you know, how forward thinking we all are. And I just, you go girls. Like you're setting the tone.
It's truly inspirational, I would say.
Totally.
Good times. Amazing. I look forward to how excited Brandon is over this every single time.
It's good.
The
glow up.
Yeah. This has been a solid chat, guys. Thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, thanks for being here as well. Also, everybody in the chat, make sure you hop on X and wish Nathan and Mrs. Mentor a happy anniversary. They're obviously out for a nice dinner this evening. And one last thing to check out, if you're so inclined, dropped a new Sovereign Sessions on Friday, which was how to get a private eSIM with Bitcoin. So if you went through and did like the graphene tutorial that I did earlier, and you're looking for how to get data and inbound SMS without having to go to a specific carrier and give up ID, then there's the video for you. Keep an eye out. More stuff coming out. Actually, tutorial dropping tomorrow as well. So head over and give it a peruse. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys. Of course, I'm Ben. This is Joey, Walker, and Brandon. And this was Bitcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Finger guns.
Now, if I can
Play
figure
the
out
ad.
my
Where's the
finger.
ad?
Yes.
I don't know. Okay, we're out of here. See
Finger
you guys.
guns.
You know the world is heading down a dark path. Online censorship, central bank digital currencies, a complete loss of privacy, and it's only accelerating. Most people are falling behind with the latest technology, and those that aren't are sacrificing their data, their control, and their dignity just to keep up. That doesn't have to be you. Here, you'll have everything you need to break free. Over the past decade, I've helped 20 million people take control of their money, their data, and their digital lives. Now, I'm bringing everything I've learned to one place. Sovereign Sessions is your home to learn, master, and live freedom tech. Bitcoin, AI, private communications, self-hosted tools, everything. Each week, I'll walk you through step by step with the most critical tools that put you back in charge. Don't ask permission, take control. Welcome to the Sovereign Sessions.